maybe I could sort of... There should be sound now. Somebody give me a notification if there's sound. I know this is a very visual thing, but there should be something there.
No, I still can't hear you. So, say something?
Well,
Oh, yeah.
yes. Oh, great. Okay. So apparently there is sound now. I don't know why that happened.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I do beg your pardon. Go on, you have to sort of... Yeah. Right. Thank you very much for those who alerted my lovely wife to that, because I can't see anything. I'm doing this basically blind. And right, so there must be a way of actually seeing what people are saying to you, but I know not how. Now, let's have a look at this guy. Yes, I was saying what I was doing preparatory sketches for this drawing, and I came up with this figure, and then after I'd finished the preparatory sketches, I thought it looks an awful lot that Dick Strawbridge, who bought the chateau with his wife. Was it Angel, isn't it? So big connections to France then, and Northern Ireland by the seams of it. Yep. Okay, so yeah, and what I'm drawing here it's about sort of it was inspired by this sort of all these sort of problems we've been having, sort of with COVID and everything like that, and it just seemed to me that we're all going to be sort of rushing for this last half of the year, trying to get things, somewhere back to normal. And of course, I was asked to do something about France, and France for me, is one of the main things is wine, isn't it? So the farmers must have been struggling, I suppose, getting their stuff to market, and I just sort of came up with this notion of a French vineyard owner, I suppose, basically chasing his product down in between the vines. So let's have a look and put his watch in there. Let's have a look. Put his thumb in. I'm going to give him a pair of secateurs in his hand. I'm not exactly sure what farmers use to cut the vines, but I suppose it must be sort of secateurs, mustn't it? And then my second problem, of course, was, well, what the bloody hell do secateurs look like? Okay, so that's sketchy enough to say what I wanted to say, I think. Now, let's put in his other hand here. Yeah, everything has to be done very, very quickly in these cases. Right. Oh, yes. One of my students at this morning's online art class said, "Is he going to have a stripy jumper?" And of course he'll have a stripy jumper. He's a Frenchman. I mean, if he didn't have a stripy jumper, he just wouldn't be French. So let's put in. Okay, so there is his other arm. years of luxurious food and cheese have made him a little bit portly. So let's put it. Yeah, give him he's a bit beefier than somebody like me, I'd say. Right, so there's the straps of his dungarees. Yeah. So here we are. We have him running along. Better bring his. Okay, there we are. Now, what's he chasing after? This should give you a clue. Okay. Now, I know that in France there's all different shapes to the bottles depending on where the wine is coming from, but I don't think we'd be too specific in this drawing, are we? But anyway, whatever it is, he's running pell-mell. Pell-mell through the vineyard. There he is, there's his face. The many wine bottles got faces. Let's put the end of the bottle on. Yeah. He's not only got a face, he's got legs. Okay, and here's his hand. What's he going to be making off with? Okay, he's going to be making off. Making off with the bunches of grapes. Put one in his mouth too. Yeah. So here we go. here's the stalk of this, and we'll have some grapes escaping from the bunch. Down onto the in between the vines. Give him a bit of a shadow. Give him a bit of a shadow. And one of the lovely things about these vineyards in France, isn't it? It's the lovely chateaus that they have all attached to these terroirs, and in fact, this was inspired by the that very one that Dick and Angel Strawbridge bought in Escape to the Chateau. Let's put some sort of vegetation in there. Okay. And we'll give it a few sort of chateau-like features like firing loops here and a few windows. Oh, better give it a door. Right. Give it a roof on the inside too. And let me see, what else did I put? Oh, yes, of course. I mean, he's running away. Why is he running after the bottle? Possibly because he's run out of wine himself. There's the wine sloshing out of the wine glass. Give him a bit of a hairy chin as well. And that sort of Imperial Guard, Napoleonic era moustache. And a bit of a long hair there. Bushy eyebrows and a tuft on the top of his head. How Gallic. Okay. So we'll give him a few hairs on his arm too. He is, after all, a farmer. Now, what else am I going to do? Yes, of course. Another couple of grapes there. Shadows of grapes. And give some tone to those, so we know what they are, and they can even have a little highlights on them from the sunshine. Yeah, something like that. I have to be careful not to touch these so soon after they're have ink on them, because the ink will very easily smudge. Okay, there we go. Yeah, something like that. So he's carrying off the grapes, and now we want these vines that they're running through. So we'll just put a bunch of marks there. These are the vines going down to the horizon, and they're all lumped together like that. There's these will do for the vine leaves. Maybe you can put sort of bunches of grapes in there as well. Yeah, that'll do. There. Bit of shadow underneath the vines. Light's not getting very into there too. And now let's put a bit of shadow underneath the bottle. Up there. That's bottle-like. I'm struggling with the my headphones that I've got at the moment. I've got such small ears that it's falling out all the time. Right, so let's give his beret a bit of tone here. I mean, he has to have a beret, doesn't he? He just has to have a beret. Despite the fact that You'd be hard put to find a Frenchman who wears a beret these days, but cartoon Frenchmen wear berets. And usually you'd have a cigarette. So why don't we give him a better not? So it's for the. But he is terrified. Make his eyebrows a bit more bushy. There we go. Finish off his jersey there. Okay, and now we can sort of work on the bottle now. Have to work very quickly. Give him some teeth. Give him some cheeks. This always happens to me when I go to France anyway. I end up chasing sort of wine bottles down vineyards. A bit of a shadow there. Give a bit of highlight on that bottle. There. And that shadow there. A few little sort of bits and pieces around here. But I suppose I better put some vines on the other side of him too. Vines going down there, and they're running in between the vines there. And then beyond them, beyond the vines, are the other slopes of the vineyard. So let's put some slopes in there, where all the other vines are. That's a real Loire Valley chateau, that is. There we go. There's that. We can have those coming down there like that. Shows you how much I know about winemaking. Let's put another little hill there. Okay, there's all the vines. We'll start putting in some details and shading. Oh yes, that's what I meant to do, was give him a French moustache. Looks like a real louche character, that bottle. 75 centilitres. The French don't seem to go in for the fancy wine labels. It kind of puts illustrators like me out of a job. Some shadows in his hand. That's his watch, isn't it? So put that there like that. Poor old devil. There we go. He really does look like Dick Strawbridge. Got some shadows in there. Put something around his pants are very was it Obelix, isn't it? And let's put some shadow under his leg, because that's disappearing away from the light. There we go. That's some shadows. I may put some shadow there. Beef it up a little bit. doing for time? Okay, so let's give a bit of motion to his berry and his glass, and this too. Okay, let's do some more with the bit of shading on the bottle. Bit darker under there. Not sure what kind of shoes the bottle is wearing. Yeah, okay, and a bit of shading under there. Vines. Let's make that more bunch of grapes. Some shading across the edge of the bottle here. His cork has burst out of his head. He's so excited. Okay, we've got, let's give him a bit more sort of, give him a D'Artagnan beard, so it goes with the moustache. One of the Trois Mousquetiers. Let's have a look. My family are all up in the house laughing at my efforts. Usually the case. Okay, well there you go. Look, that's put a bit of shading in there. I think I could go darker underneath there. Give him a little bit of weight. Under there, and the vintage is 20. For this is the year that the harvests will have to be rushed. Oh, hole in his shoe. It has been a difficult year after all. Eh? Can't go without the repaired trousers. And voila. I shall change oops, where are we? My camera. I'd say my last little bit. It's time to say goodbye. I think there's only a couple of minutes left. It's about 4 minutes really. But you should stay tuned to this channel and keep an eye on the Alliance Française Facebook site, because they've got a number of live Facebook events coming up. And you know, it's very entertaining and interesting stuff. I hope you did enjoy this. And if you ever feel like having a look at my work or coming to one of my online classes, visit www.mcsherrystudio.com, and it's in that little sort of, well, look, there it is, look, it's written in that little blue lozenge on my site. That's the way to get hold of me. But it's been a pleasure doing a drawing for you, and I hope you enjoyed it. And stay in touch. I'll turn off now. You can go back to your work, and I'll try to go back to mine.